So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and today I'm going to be talking about the up and coming fight which is taking place this weekend between Jaron Ennis versus Karen Chukhadzhian. Hope I said his name correct. Now, this fight is the headliner and it's taking place in Philadelphia, and it sees the unbeaten Jaron Ennis, currently 32-0 with 29 KOs to his name, and the main man in the welterweight division currently today, because Terence Crawford has obviously moved up to 154. Sees him taking on a guy that which he faced back in 2023, which was in January 2023, and he already beat him on a 12-round unanimous decision. And the scores from all three judges were very comprehensive, 120 to 108 from three judges. And he's taking on the challenger for his IBF title in Karen Chukhadzhian. Now, since that first fight where he challenged him, it was for the IBF interim title at the time, but now it will be for the full world title, the IBF title. And from that defeat, Ennis has won two fights, and he beat a Roman Villa, which was back in July 2023, before beating David Avanesian this July. So yeah, he's been pretty much active. Okay, David Avanesian was his first defense of his IBF title, which he got gifted the belt. So yeah, he's on good form. Whereas Karen Chukhadzhian, on the other hand, since that loss where he lost to um, Jaron Ennis, he has pretty much been on a three-fight winning spree. Um, Two of the other names on his record, which he fought back in 2023, I don't know who they are, to be honest. I never heard of these guys, but Harry Scarf, I know who he is. Harry Scarf not long ago took on a Echo Esserman and obviously beat him in a 10-round decision. And then he obviously lost to Karen Chukhadzhian as well, which was in May this year. So now Chukhadzhian gets that world title shot. Whereas if it was Echo Esserman who would have beat Harry Scarf, then potentially Echo Esserman potentially could have fought Karen, and if he would have beat Karen, he would be fighting Jaron Ennis. So it's quite mad how the welterweight scene actually um, is these days, to be honest, how quick you could be pretty much elevated into a world title fight. But anyhow, this fight sees the 28-year-old Karen Chukhadzhian, who has got a record of 24 wins, 2 losses on his record, and 13 KOs to his name. So yeah, he's got a decent record. The two losses, obviously, one of them came to Jaron Ennis, which was back in 2023, and then his only other loss, which was pretty much his second ever professional fight, which was back in 2015 in a 3-rounder, and he lost on a split decision. So that loss at that time pretty much wasn't really a loss because it was more of a learning curve. He did lose, sorry, and yes, quite frankly, he lost, but you can't really say much because he's gone on to do good and better things since that first loss on his record. So yeah, can't really say much there. But he's got a decent record, nothing that I feel as if Jaron Ennis is going to be scared about. He's already faced him once and he beat him very comprehensively on the scorecards. I didn't watch the fight, so I can't really give my opinion on that fight, but I will be watching this one, so I could give you guys my opinion on this fight. But if he beat him that comprehensive on all three score judges' cards, I'm pretty much expecting the same. I don't feel as if Jaron Ennis is going to knock him out, but what he potentially could do is maybe cause a referee stoppage if he's on form and he's putting on a lot of pressure and he's punishing Karen Chukhadzhian, and maybe at the latter parts of the fight, of the fight, maybe around 9, round 10, or whatever it may be, he could potentially try and get the stoppage if Ennis is that dominant. But I guess Chukhadzhian probably felt that he didn't give his all in that first fight, and probably feels that he knows how he could beat Jaron Ennis, and that's why he's took this fight. Obviously, it's for a world title shot, so he's going to take it anyway. But he's going to go in there with probably pretty much a better game plan than the first time, and knowing in himself what he has to do to beat Jaron Ennis. So yeah, hopefully it should be a good fight. But the only thing that I am a little bit disappointed with, really, is the fact that Jaron Ennis hasn't really looked to try and unify um, with one of the other champions within the division, because in the welterweight scene there are four world champions. And he could have potentially have tried to make a fight with one of them. And I know one fighter, sorry, that he did try and make a fight with, which pretty much the champion flapped it because he was asking for too much money, and that was a Brian Norman Jr., who is the current WBO champion. And obviously Jaron Ennis and his team offered Brian Norman Jr. a lot of money, but obviously he priced himself out of the fight because he just wanted way too much in the end. Whereas the other champions currently in the division, you've got Mario Barrios. Now I understand why that fight couldn't be made, because Barrios is fighting the week after. So obviously I'm guessing negotiations for the fight who Mario Barrios is fighting was already taking place way in advance, so that fight just wasn't gonna happen. Whereas the Stanionis guy, who's WBA, that fight could have happened because this guy, Stanionis, fought in May this year, so he potentially could have been ready to fight Ennis on this card coming up this weekend. But for some reason, that wasn't to be. It didn't get made. So yeah, a little bit disappointed. So yeah, it's just got to see the fight and see what happens this weekend. But another thing as well is obviously you've got other top contenders in that division who he potentially could have fought um, for the belt, even though Karen Chukhadzhian is the mandatory. But just because you're mandatory doesn't mean you're always going to fight next, sort of thing. Because when there's money being thrown about, fighters do take money to kind of sit down and let someone else fight. Then they would get their title shot in the near future. But yeah, Conor Ben, obviously he's been running up his mouth recently. I'm guessing he's looking for a fight, and he's ranked highly in all the governing bodies. And according to BoxRec as well, according to BoxRec, that's why I laughed there. He is the second best welterweight in the world to date, which is mad because he hasn't fought in a while, and he's coming off obviously that the issue with the drugs, give or take, etc., etc. But yeah, their rankings, BoxRec, are a bit weird to be fair. But yeah, just a little bit disappointed that we couldn't see a unification in the welterweight division. Hopefully, if Ennis stays in the welterweight division after this fight, maybe we could see one as well. Because realistically, since the top guys have left the welterweight scene, like your Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Amir Khan, people like that, um, it's been dead really. And back in the days, the welterweight scene was the best boxing division, but now it's not. So we do need some fresh blood to maybe come and freshen up the division. And there is talk about up and comers maybe moving up into the welterweight scene, such as your Devin Haney, such as your Teofimo Lopez. I'm guessing Ryan Garcia at some point potentially will maybe move up to 147 as well. And then you probably got people like Josh Taylor, maybe Regis Prograis as well, who potentially could move up as well. So yeah, we need some fresh blood in that division because it's dead at this moment in time, and it was one of the best divisions back in the days, and now it's probably the worst division, I would probably say, in boxing at this present moment in time. It's just not exciting at all. And that's potentially why Jaron Ennis wants to move up to 154 and try and entice people like your Terence Crawford or Fundora, people like that, into bigger fights as well. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below in regards to this fight this weekend between Jaron Ennis and Karen Chukhadzhian, and who do you feel is going to win? If you're a hardcore American boxing fan, in terms of watching Jaron Ennis fight over there. You've probably seen him fight against Kevin Chukhadzhian before, so how do you see this second one going? I didn't see the first one, so I will be staying tuned for the second one, sorry, and hopefully it could be a dominant and very comfortable display for Ennis victory. But I feel that Ennis will probably get the late stoppage. But as always, guys, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please subscribe and comment. Bless.